What led to that bashing on The View?
Well, there is a woman over the weekend.
On a seemingly routine episode of The View, a heated exchange unfolded that transformed a policy discussion into a spectacle of personal jabs and historical deep dives. The clash centered on Tomi Lahren, a conservative commentator known for her outspoken views on immigration, and Sunny Hostin, a co-host of The View who attempted to challenge Lahren's stance with a surprising tactic, digging into Lahren's family history. What began as a debate about immigration policy quickly spiraled into a dramatic confrontation, complete with ancestry revelations, social media firestorms, and a biting commentary from Fox News' Greg Gutfeld. The episode exposed not only the personal and political tensions between the two women, but also the broader state of political discourse, where substantive issues are often overshadowed by theatrical showdowns. The confrontation had its roots in a weekend investigation by Hostin, who, in an effort to undermine Lahren's advocacy for merit-based immigration, researched Lahren's family background. Hostin's goal was clear: uncover a gotcha moment that would paint Lahren as a hypocrite for supporting strict immigration policies while being a descendant of immigrants herself. What Hostin found, however, was far from the knockout punch she anticipated. Lahren's ancestors, who arrived in the United States from Norway and Germany in the 1800s, spoke their native languages, Norwegian and German, years after their arrival. Hostin presented this as evidence of Lahren's inconsistency, arguing that her family's history of limited English proficiency mirrored the struggles of modern immigrants, whom Lahren often criticizes. On the show, Hostin unveiled her findings, with the confidence of someone who believed they had cracked a major case. She cited specific census records. Lahren's second great-grandmother, who had been in the U.S. for a decade by 1930, spoke no English, and her third great-grandmother, after 41 years in the country, still spoke German. Hostin's tone was triumphant, as if these details exposed a fatal flaw in Lahren's rhetoric. "She doesn't even know her own history," Hostin declared, suggesting that Lahren's ignorance of her family's past invalidated her stance on immigration. The studio audience buzzed, and the co-host leaned in, sensing a viral moment in the making. But Lahren, cool and composed, didn't falter. Rather than being thrown off by Hostin's attack, she seized the opportunity to reframe the narrative. Lahren acknowledged her ancestors' language barriers, but emphasized that they had immigrated legally, followed the rules, and built lives through hard work. "What she did is prove that my family came here legally," Lahren said, her voice steady. She pivoted to her broader point: the immigration system of the 1800s, which required documentation and accountability, was fundamentally different from today's challenges with illegal immigration. Hostin's attempt to portray Lahren as a hypocrite backfired, as Lahren used the moment to reinforce her argument for a merit-based system. The exchange was more than a personal clash. It was a microcosm of how political debates often devolve into performative drama. Hostin's decision to weaponize Lahren's family history was a bold but risky move. Instead of engaging with Lahren's policy positions, such as her call for stronger border security or streamlined legal immigration, Hostin opted for a personal attack, hoping to score points with emotional resonance. But the tactic played into Lahren's strengths. Known for her ability to stay on message, Lahren turned Hostin's genealogical jab into a platform to reiterate her core beliefs: legal immigration, personal responsibility, and national sovereignty. The View's co-hosts, including Joy Behar, couldn't resist piling on. Behar questioned Lahren's skills, implying that her commentary lacked substance. Lahren, unfazed, fired back with a quip: "I'd like to ask Joy Behar what her skills are." The retort was sharp but measured, a reminder that Lahren thrives in high-pressure environments. Bihar's jab, like Hostin's, aimed to discredit Lahren personally rather than challenge her ideas. The segment began to feel less like a policy debate and more like a reality TV showdown, with each side vying for the most memorable soundbite. As the discussion unfolded, it became clear that Hostin had miscalculated. By focusing on Lahren's ancestors, she inadvertently handed her opponent a megaphone. Lahren's response was disciplined and effective. She acknowledged her heritage, celebrated her family's contributions, and contrasted their experience with what she describes as the illegal immigration crisis of today. Her ability to stay calm under fire, whether due to preparation, confidence, or sheer media savvy, turned Hostin's attack into a self-inflicted wound. The audience, both in the studio and at home, could sense the shift. Hostin's triumphant grin faded as Lahren's smirk grew. The fallout was immediate and explosive, particularly on social media. X erupted with reactions, as users from all sides weighed in on the confrontation. Laren's supporters hailed her as a master of deflection, turning a personal attack into a policy win. Sunny thought she had Tomi, but Tomi had the receipts, one user posted, accompanied by a meme of Lahren winking at the camera. Hostin's fans, meanwhile, praised her for exposing what they saw as Laren's hypocrisy. Sunny brought the facts, and Tomi can't handle it, another user wrote. The platform became a battleground of memes, hot takes, and amateur historians debating the nuances of 19th century immigration. The online frenzy wasn't just about the two women, it reflected a deeper cultural divide. For some, the clash was about immigration policy and whether Laren's call for merit-based systems held water. For others, it was a proxy for broader tensions: conservatism versus liberalism, personal responsibility versus systemic empathy, or even coastal elites versus middle America. Lahren, who often positions herself as a voice for the heartland, leaned into this narrative. "It's not just me," she said on The View. "It's anybody who advocates for merit-based immigration or has an issue with open borders." Her words resonated with viewers who feel alienated by mainstream media, amplifying her reach. Enter Greg Gutfeld, Fox News resident satirist, who couldn't resist jumping into the fray. Gutfeld's segment on the controversy was a masterclass in comedic evisceration. He mocked Hostin's Ancestry ambush, likening it to a detective chasing a cold case with no payoff. "Girl, how are you gonna play family detective when you probably haven't even filled out your own family tree?" he quipped, earning laughs from his audience. Gutfeld didn't stop there. He pointed out the irony of Hostin, a vocal advocate for compassion, using Laren's family history as a weapon. "If we're going full DNA duel," he said, "Sunny might want to scan her own branches before tossing acorns at someone else's roots." Gutfeld's commentary struck a nerve because it highlighted a double standard. If Lahren had targeted Hostin's ancestry in a similar way, the backlash would have been swift and severe. Accusations of racism would have dominated headlines, and Laren's career might have taken a hit. Yet Hostin's attack was framed as a bold, truth-telling moment by her supporters, revealing the uneven rules of engagement in political discourse. Gutfeld's roast wasn't just about humor, it was a critique of how personal attacks masquerade as policy arguments, especially when amplified by the spectacle of daytime TV. The View's producers, likely anticipating the viral potential, let the segment run its course, but the chaos left viewers bewildered. What had started as a discussion about immigration policy, border security, legal pathways, economic impacts, morphed into a genealogical grudge match. The audience was left grappling with a bizarre question. How did a debate about 21st century immigration devolve into a feud over someone's German-speaking great-great-grandmother? The answer lies in the nature of modern political media, where drama drives ratings and substance is often an afterthought. This wasn't the first time The View had turned a serious issue into a circus, and it won't be the last. The show thrives on conflict, inviting controversial figures like Lahren to spark debates that inevitably veer into personal territory. Hostin's decision to bring Ancestry into the mix was a calculated move, designed to create a viral moment. But it backfired because it underestimated Laren's ability to pivot and the audience's appetite for substance over theatrics. By focusing on Laren's family, Hostin lost sight of the broader issue, allowing Lahren to dominate the narrative. The irony is that Hostin could have made a compelling case without resorting to personal attacks. Immigration is a complex, emotional issue tied to identity, history, and opportunity. Hostin could have argued that assimilation is a gradual process, that English fluency isn't a measure of worth, or that today's immigrants face challenges similar to those of past generations. These points might have resonated, fostering a real conversation. Instead, she chased a headline, and the result was a messy, polarizing spectacle that left everyone talking, but not about policy. Lahren, for her part, emerged stronger. Her ability to stay composed and redirect the conversation to her talking points, legal immigration, merit-based systems, national security, solidified her brand as a conservative firebrand. She didn't need to raise her voice or sling insults. Her calm delivery was its own weapon. Post-show, Lahren capitalized on the moment, hitting the interview circuit and sharing memes that cast her as a patriot, standing firm against liberal attacks. The controversy became free publicity, boosting her visibility among supporters.